great, even though it wasn't an Irish song.
Oh, yeah, we have to expand our repertoire.
And let's get Jim up here with his 5 books of records so far, and still working on it.
Thank you, Ross. Springtime does a lot of things to a young man. Flights of fancy. In my particular case, I had just purchased my very first home. A little bungalow in a small town, a really small town, as in, oh, isn't that Cousin Eb over there small? And the house was really special, except it lacked an important feature. It was empty. You could hear the echo, and it needed something, and furniture wasn't going to get the job done. So I did the first thing that came into my mind. I need a puppy. So off I went to a breeder, and I found a beautiful, small, bright, bushy-tailed German Shepherd puppy. And, on the way back from the breeder, I went through a drive-through hamburger stand, and as soon as I pulled up in the window, the puppy looked up at me like, well, where's mine? Well, if you remember Popeye and Wimpy, I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today, I decided the puppy's name had to be Wimpy. On the way back home, I pulled through my parents' neighborhood. They lived in town, and as soon as I opened the door, expecting he was going to run toward the house, instead he runs into the front yard, and there, between the sidewalk and the street, is a bright yellow fire hydrant. And the thing about dogs and fire hydrants, I think it's an instinctive thing. He ran over and immediately lifted his leg. At that moment, I knew I had a problem. Because this little community that I lived in, we were all on well and septic systems. We didn't have a municipal water system. No municipal water system, no fire hydrants. Well, fortunately, and I think this was a moment of grace that just came out of the clear blue sky, I happened to be working at the time for a company that manufactured municipal valves, and in their product line they also made fire hydrants. Now, what do? Well, I had a lot of friends out in the shop. And so I went to the folks in the machine shop. I said, hey, do you ever get rejects? He said, oh, all the time. Bad castings, machining problems, things of that nature. Well, what do you do with them? Oh, we take them and throw them in the bin out back. Well, what happens then? Well, when the bin gets full, they take it over to the foundry, they melt it down, and it starts all over again. I said, do you think anybody would notice if I took a couple pieces? Oh, go ahead. We use them for wheel stops and boat anchors and all kinds of stuff. Help yourself. So over the next couple weeks, I went out after work and I rummaged through the bin. I'd find a piece here and a piece there, and eventually after a couple weeks, I had all the pieces I needed to make the above ground piece of a Kennedy Valve Classic fire hydrant. Rob, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Took it home, put up a frame, poured a concrete pad, bolted my regulation looking fake fire hydrant onto the concrete pad. Painted it regulation yellow. And all the boys down at the volunteer fire company thought, oh, that is funny. Jim and his fake fire hydrant. My dog was happy. Wimpy never had a single clue what was going on. As far as Wimpy knew, it was the real thing. As lives evolve and mine did as well. I took a job out of state and I had to move a few years later. I took all my belongings, never thinking about that yellow fire hydrant in the front yard. About 14 years ago, I get a message from a guy on Facebook. And the message was, hey, by any chance are you the guy that used to live in the red bungalow on Main Street in Millport? That's kind of a strange request. And I said, well, God, I've been gone from there for 20 some odd years. Yeah, that was me. Why? People aren't very happy about you. I said, they aren't very happy about me. What's that about? Well, as it turns out, as he tells me the story, years after I moved away, the community got a government block grant. They were able to put in their own municipal water system with real functioning fire hydrants. Now, on this particular day, just about a quarter mile down from my house, a fire broke out. The fire department heads down the street, and as the tradition, firemen are trained to this, it's called catching the hydrant. As the engine's going down the street, the two guys on the back jump off. One of the guys takes the 2.5 inch off the back of the truck, wraps it around the fire hydrant, so as the truck's going down the road, the hose can play out. Except they wrapped it around my fire hydrant. The hydrant, concrete pad and all, starts bouncing down the middle of New York State Route 14. The people whose house was on fire weren't happy. The mayor wasn't happy. The fire chief wasn't happy. But I learned something important from that experience. 3 things, actually. Love makes liars of us all. For years, I had been telling my dog a lie, and it tells me, dogs are too good for us. Having to live that lie and not tell my dog, shame on me. The other thing that I learned about this is, there's this fake it till you make it idea, and that works pretty well until you're talking about a piece of municipal plumbing, and all of a sudden, that fake lie becomes very real quickly. And the third thing I learned is karma is a fireman with a hose. And ultimately, anything that we choose to hide is eventually going to come back to the surface. And that's my story about Wimpy and his fake fire hydrant.